Good evening. Welcome to Gay Newsbreak. I'm John Beebe.
And I'm Dorinda Boswell.
Supporters of hate crime statutes hope that last month's brutal murder of Matthew Shepard, a gay college student in Wyoming, will lead to expanding such laws to include anti-gay violence. While Oklahoma is one of 40 states with a hate crimes law, its measure applies only to crimes based on race, color, religion, national origin, and disability. According to Joanne Bell, Executive Director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Oklahoma, that statute needs to change to address crimes against homosexuals. In Oklahoma, State Representative Don Ross of Tulsa has indicated he likely will push for the state's hate crime statute to encompass violence against gays and lesbians. State Attorney General Drew Edmondson supports broadening Oklahoma's law, arguing that crimes fanned by bigotry and prejudice are especially serious because they potentially impact entire groups of people. His sentiments are echoed by Paul Thompson, male co-chair of the Oklahoman Gay and Lesbian Political Caucus. The specific thing that sets a hate crime apart is that consciously or otherwise the person committing the crime not only intends to harm the specific target, but to send a message to a broader range of people, Thompson said. Nationwide, hate crimes appear to be on the rise. The FBI reported 8,759 such incidents in 1996, with crimes against gays and lesbians accounting for 1/3 of that total. Even so, only half of the U.S. states with hate crime statutes address sexual orientation. Oklahoma hate crimes climbed from 42 in 1995 to 55 last year, according to the State Bureau of Investigation. There were 6 incidents last year involving gay victims as compared to 3 in 1995. Most hate crimes in the state are directed against African Americans. But Thompson points out that many incidents of anti-gay violence, especially in socially conservative Oklahoma, go unreported because victims do not want to be publicly outed. Dorinda?
Wow. Tri-Pride Productions is sponsoring Oklahoma City's first gay and lesbian film festival. As you know, we have brought you information when this started and will continue to do so. This festival will be called Out on Film and will be held in September of 1999 at a major theater venue in Oklahoma City. There is a committee of men and women, gays and lesbians, who continue to meet and organize this major nonprofit event. The committee is announcing a contest for a film festival logo. Anyone may enter, submitting as many design ideas as desired. Designs should be limited to no more than 3 colors. The entry deadline is December 15th and to be mailed to Tri-Pride Productions. There will be a cash prize of $50 plus 2 sets of tickets for the 3-day festival. There will be another meeting on November 16th at 6:30 at Gushers for organizing of this festival. You are invited to attend. This festival will bring to Oklahoma City dozens of films produced worldwide by and for gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and transgenders. The success of this film festival will depend on the community involvement behind this effort.
Looking forward to that, definitely. Well, about 20 people have already signed up for a flagline group that is forming in Oklahoma City. James Taylor, a local man who has taught the craft to high school and college students for the past 20 years, is putting together the same concept for gays and lesbians. For those unfamiliar with flag lines, Taylor explained by saying most people are familiar with the flag line they see on the football field. They're the ones who precede the marching band, and their role is to enhance the music. Our flag line will use synchronized movements using the flags to tell a story that is set to music. I've been wanting to do something that projected a positive, wholesome image of the gay community for quite some time, and this seemed an ideal plan, he said. I would like to see us do more performances in the mainstream community as a way of saying we're not who you think we are, we're more. A date for the first performance has not been set, but the first rehearsal was held earlier this month. To find out more, call James Taylor at 405-945-0646. Again, that's 405-945-0646.
That sounds fun. A national gay Catholic organization has released a statement condemning ex-gay ads. The ads have sparked controversy across the country, with gay rights activists accusing the ads and their makers of stirring violence against gays. They point at the death of Matthew Shepard as proof of the ads are not about hope, as the religious rights claims, but are an attack against the political gains gays have made over the past few years. Dignity President Robert Malovich said he was saddened by the use of the Bible in such a deceptive manner.
Well, Oklahomans for Children and Families, also known as OCAF, is the controversial group that made headlines for its efforts to remove the film The Tin Drum from video and library shelves in Oklahoma County last year. The group brought the 1979 foreign film to the attention of Oklahoma City Police, whom later collected copies of the film from private homes and businesses. Apparently, during that time period, OCAF saw an increase in donations to their group. The group estimates it is receiving more funds than ever, especially in the wake of a recent court decision that Tin Drum is not obscene, or child pornography, as OCAF still claims. Filings with the IRS reveal the local nonprofit organization spends a majority of its budget on administrative expenses, including fundraising and travel, as opposed to education, the purpose for which OCAF was founded.
Well, John, Bob Anderson, President and Executive Director of OCAF, said his group is like many other nonprofit organizations that see most of their proceeds eaten up by administrative costs. Despite its recent fundraising boom, OCAF does not rely entirely on contributions from private individuals and businesses. Tax records from 1996 show the group accepted a non-specific government contribution or grant of $18,400, about 25% of the organization's total budget for that year. OCAF signed a statement on the tax return that declares that it has not attempted to influence national, state, or local legislation, including attempts to influence public opinion on legislation. The declaration appears to be in conflict with OCAF's involvement in drafting several pieces of state legislation, including bills limiting internet pornography and policies regarding public funding of libraries that do not segregate sexually explicit materials.
Well, stay with us, and we'll be right back with the national news after this.
Jenny Reyes, su hijo está muriendo de AIDS. Paredes diagnosticó.
¿Cómo pasa el tiempo? Ya se pinta los labios. Parece que habla con David de nuevo.
Hasta luego, David. Adiós.
David es un amigo especial, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Yo sé, ya no eres una niña y sé que tu mamá ya te habló acerca de los peligros, riesgos y todo eso. Bueno, ahora es mi turno. Quiero hablarte de...
Para recibir una guía de información, llame.
In Boston, the mayor is demanding some changes to the famous AIDS bike ride from Boston to New York City. According to news reports, this year's ride jammed streets and snarled traffic for more than 2 hours, making the morning commute to work a real nightmare. 2,500 cyclists took part in the ride, raising $6.4 million for HIV and AIDS. The ride was so successful, said Mayor Thomas Menino, but next year organizers better have a different route, one that won't cause so much confusion. Organizers have yet to pick an alternate starting point, but they would definitely address the issue. Well, in Maryland, the Court of Appeals has modified that state's sodomy laws. Judge Richard Rombo recently changed the law, stating it should not unfairly target gays. The ruling settled a case brought against the state by the ACLU and removes gay oral sex from the list. However, the ruling leaves intact anal sex for all couples, whether gay or straight. Only 5 states now carry sodomy laws that target only gays. Those are Texas, Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, and of course, Oklahoma. Dorinda?
Thank you, John. In world news this evening, in Britain, the National Health Service will provide Viagra to gay men when it becomes available from the government medical system later this year. The decision sparked controversy from family values folks who said gay men would abuse the drug, but government officials said they will not discriminate based on sexual orientation. Whether gay or straight, it is estimated that British people will use up to $1.6 billion worth of the drug each year. And in Thailand, the Singapore police have banned a film about transvestites from the country's first international film festival. Officials said the film, titled Bugis Street, looks at the drag queens who populated Singapore's red light district in the 60s. A Thailand film critic gave the film good reviews, but said adequate censorship laws will prevent the public from seeing it. Whether or not those laws will be changed for future film festivals remains to be seen. And in Malaysia, the deposed deputy prime minister has pleaded not guilty to sex-related crimes. Anwar Ibrahim was removed from office back in September after being charged with committing sodomy with his speechwriter and adopted brother. Those 2 men were convicted and are now serving time in prison. Anwar denied the charges, saying he was framed by the Prime Minister because he was jealous of his popularity. Anwar's arrest prompted several days of street rioting by his loyal supporters.
And we have Desmond with the health news. And Desmond.
Thanks, John. Good evening. A new method for detecting HIV within 24 hours after exposure may soon be on the market. Biotech Imaging, located in Frederick, Maryland, says their new test works by adding special antibodies that are chemically bonded with magnetic microbeads to the patient's blood sample. This agent then bonds to infected cells that are pulled from the blood sample by a magnet, separating infected cells from uninfected cells with 99.3% accuracy. The company plans to go public next year in order to raise money for clinical trials of the test. Dr. Robert Gallo, the co-discoverer of HIV, speaking at a university in Bangkok, said that he is more confident than he was a year ago that an AIDS vaccine will be forthcoming within the next 3 or 4 years. He cited recent studies showing a protein found in pregnant women can inhibit the replication of HIV in vitro, adding that a vaccine study is underway in several European countries that combine interferon with the TAT protein produced by HIV. Trials of this particular vaccine in the U.S. are expected to begin following FDA approval. Recent studies in Australia have concluded that AIDS-related deaths have fallen 80% since the introduction of protease inhibitors, and that the number of AIDS cases have dropped by 43%. The findings also showed that in the period between 1990 and 1993, 60% of the subjects who were followed progressed to AIDS, compared to 30% of subjects followed between 1994 and 1997. A few weeks ago, African-American leaders of Alameda County in California were calling on their government officials to declare a state of emergency. Now the county, which has a large African-American population, is appealing to federal, state, and local organizations for help in dealing with the AIDS crisis. The AIDS rate among the African-American community there is 5 times greater than the rate among whites and Hispanics. The state of emergency is the first of its kind in the nation. Nationally, AIDS is the leading cause of death among blacks aged 25 to 44. Well, it's that time of year when we begin to make special preparations for family, feast, fun, and friends, the holidays. They're supposed to be filled with joy, good cheer, and optimistic hopes for a new year. However, for many, the holiday season is anything but. In a few moments on Inside Out, I'll be speaking with a psychotherapist who will give us first aid tips for the holidays. And that wraps it up this week for Health News. I hope you have a great week. Back to you, John, Dorinda.
Thank you, Desmond, and we will be right back after this word with Desmond Stone and Inside Out. Stay with us.
You always have to be in control. When you're going out to a club and you're drinking or whatever it is, you always have to be in control. In control, in control, in control.
Respect yourself, protect yourself.
I didn't understand my girlfriends growing up. I'm in love, and it was a different guy every 3 weeks. I didn't understand that. I don't look back and regret ever not sleeping with someone. I know in the long run I'm going to be much better off.
Respect yourself, protect yourself.
Welcome back. Our special guest this week for this week's edition of Inside Out is John Donetti, a psychotherapist practicing in Oklahoma City, and we're going to be discussing the holidays and what they mean to us and what they can do to us. John, good evening. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
The holidays, normally a very happy, very cheerful, very festive time of year for many people, but then again, I've read reports, studies that indicate that many people don't have a whole lot of fun over the holidays. Is this true?
Well, yes and no. One of the myths about the holidays is that depression and suicide rates go up over the holidays, and there have been a number of studies, one in particular that was done in Minnesota, that over a 35-year period they looked at the number of suicides and the number of admissions in psychiatric hospitals over depression during the holidays, and they really didn't show that there was any significant difference with say New Year's or Christmas than any other day of the year. Another study that I've read also talks about the only day that they show any kind of significant increase is New Year's. And in itself, it's New Year's Day, not New Year's Eve. And the average day, there are about 34 suicide attempts for every 1 million people. And on New Year's Day, there are 41. So that's really about the only thing statistically that we see as a difference over the holidays. But that doesn't mean that people don't get depressed and that we don't have the blues and kind of have bad feelings sometimes over the holidays.
Why would people become depressed? Just personally, this is a very good time of year for me because there's an awful lot of activity, an awful lot of positive energy. And I don't understand how people could even possibly become depressed during this time of year. What are some of the factors leading up to that?
Well, I think probably the biggest thing is that we set ourselves up, that we have expectations of a perfect holiday. I often think of It's a Wonderful Life or The Cleavers, The Perfect Tree, The Perfect Family, and of course all that's been reinvented in the last 4 or 5 years by Martha Stewart, and now we have to have this perfect holiday. What we forget is Martha has a team of about 30 or 40 people who do most of the work for her. So we kind of set ourselves up. We have these great expectations that our family will be perfect, that they'll understand us, that we'll be able to get just that right gift for someone, and they'll give us just the right gift back. And it just doesn't happen. And we set ourselves up for failure, or at least for feeling like we've missed something.
What about people recollecting past holidays? Would there be a tendency to compare like the best Christmas that I ever had to try to make it the same way again? This is in a way what you're talking about, not over-expecting.
That is exactly. And the thing we do when we think to the past, we either make it much better than what it was or much worse than what it was. And usually with holidays, we tend to idealize it. And so that perfect holiday we had as a child when we got that bicycle or that red truck or whatever it is really was not that fine of a day, but our memories say that this was the greatest time and I want to make that happen again. And it just doesn't happen that way.
What are some of the signs to look for? Do people become, people who are depressed over the holidays, who have a difficult time handling, the holiday activities, what could we look for?
I would think that you would look for the very things that you look for in anyone when you're looking for depression. An inability to concentrate, occasional small memory lapses. A good example is you go to the mall to go shopping for 4 things and you get home and the 4 things that you went to the mall for, you forgot. Turning down the wrong street and not finding your way. Those are all clues that something's out of focus. And the best thing we can do is just try to reduce our stressors, to try to set very realistic goals, to understand that it's not going to be perfect and we're not going to be able to do it in a perfect way, and just kind of relax.
John, they're telling me we're just about out of time. I'd like to mention something for our viewers. It's called the Holiday Survival Guide that you've prepared. And if anyone would like copies of this, you can send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Gay Newsbreak, 900 Northwest 17th in Oklahoma City, and that is zip code 73103. We'll be happy to get these copies to you. John, I want to thank you for being with us this week. It's been very interesting.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
John, Dorinda, back to you.
And now with our entertainment news is Chuck Jones.
Good evening. MTV will be kicking off a new anti-violence public service campaign called Fight for Your Rights. What? Anyway, under the new slogan, MTV will air a special edition of MTV News, True Life, a show which focuses on the lives of young adults. The episode will investigate Matthew Shepard's murder and examines violence against gay men and lesbians across the country. The program will premiere Wednesday, November 9th at 9 p.m. England's state-owned Channel 4 television network is planning to launch a new drama series entitled Queer as Folk. The show will feature gay life in Manchester, England. Network executives stated that the new show is part of an overall plan to increase the network's own programming and reduce its reliance on American imported shows such as Friends and Frasier. And finally, thank God, if you haven't seen George Michael's new music video, you are in for an interesting surprise. In his new video, Outside, George Michael pokes fun at his own arrest earlier this year and makes quite a statement in the process. The video features a variety of couples engaging in sex in various public places. One coupling in particular takes place in, what else? A public restroom. There are, in fact, some homoerotic scenes as well, with two vice cops kissing passionately and two bodybuilders in a locker room eyeing each other. The video will be airing this month on MTV. I hope MTV has the guts to show it in prime time and not the graveyard shift. I've seen the video and I must say I laughed at Michael's audacity, but I respected his message. You will want to keep an eye out for this video. And I tell you, working here is a gas, let me tell you. Back to you guys.
Chuck, good job. I happened to see that video, as a matter of fact, on MTV during prime time. It is already airing, and it was a great video. And he also was on David Letterman the other night and did a great job talking openly about what happened. And so he's done fantastic things as an artist.
He's got the money to do it, too.
Yes, he does.
That makes a difference.
Stay with us, and we'll be right back after this.
They fired her?
Yes.
But that isn't fair.
No, it isn't.
It isn't legal.
Yes, it is.
In 41 of our 50 states, a person can be fired just for being lesbian, gay, or bisexual with no legal recourse. Most Americans don't know that.
Betty?
Is there anything we can do?
Call the Human Rights Campaign toll-free at 1-888-4HRC-1997. Anti-gay job discrimination drives us apart. Americans want solutions that bring us together.
Fortunately, many Americans have found a way to respond to HIV.
You got a friend that's got AIDS.
What? They're shooting us? You think that's the only way
They're educating their employees.
The issue here is education. AIDS is growing fast.
Their communities,
in small towns.
especially their friends and their families.
Last year I found out that I have HIV.
If we're going to prevent the spread of HIV, each and every one of us must do our part. Find out how you can help prevent HIV. Call 1-800-342-AIDS.
We have a new segment that we're going to start this week, and we hope to be continuing to do this segment week to week. And what it is our producer, Joe Dunaway, will be speaking with you about the goings-on in the community each week. And I think that's a great idea.
I think it's wonderful to inform everybody what's going on.
A lot of people need to know what's going on, and not enough people, are informed to go out and check out whatever's happening in the community.
And there's lots to do, so I think this will be great. So please call. Joe?
Thank you, guys. I'm Joe Dunaway, producer, and we're starting Around Town, a new little segment that we're trying out on Gay News Break. What I'll do each week is bring just a sampling of what's going on around town in Oklahoma and surrounding areas. To start off with, COPA's celebrating their 10th anniversary weekend, and you can also catch Ginger Lamar, our own weather girl, in her shows at the COPA each week. Angles will have their Sunday night Star Wash with their host of stars. The High Low Club will have Ambrosia playing on the 17th, and you can always catch Tony Sinclair on Friday nights. Herland will have Thanksgiving potluck at 7 o'clock on November the 21st. And Out on Film, OKC's first gay film festival, will hold their meeting at Gushers at 6:30, November the 16th. Central Oklahoma Primetimers will meet for lunch at 12:30 at Gushers on the 15th, followed by their board meeting at Epworth at UMC at 1:45 with their meet and eat at Gushers on the 17th. If you have any community events or for your club or for your group, please give our Talkback line a call. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Joe. Again, we look forward to your comments on the Talkback line. Please give us a call and let us know your thoughts. We appreciate the input that you give us. It helps us to improve the show. And again, we also want to thank you for watching the show. We look forward to seeing you again next week, and have a great week. Make it a good one.
Thank you.